Just double checking. Yeah, I'm not getting audio on YouTube, so give it a few moments. All right. I think we're good to go. All right, so my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is April 13th, 2021. Let's go ahead and get started. Starting off with our SPY. So thesis remains. We are seeing continual bullish drift in the SPY. We've had notably up to approximately 11 days where we're making almost continuous higher highs and higher lows each and every day, with a couple of periods of consolidation thrown in between. And what that has done is we've gotten pretty extended from our 20 and our 50 moving averages on the daily. We've also come into some notable potential dynamic resistance from more of a channel and uptrend resistance perspective. When looking at the 4-hour chart, we do see that the 20 moving average has been acting as a relatively decent guide to see whether or not the trend is at risk. And looking at some of our pre-market action, we're seeing that the SPY is actually coming back to test some of our channel resistance that we've had in the past. So while the SPY remains elevated, we are locked in up here at resistance. And what we are seeing is the potential for, once again, another pullback to the 20 on the 4-hour that could lead to more upside. Now we'll get into some risk and reward potential along with some news today that may deviate from that plan. We may see the market actually pull back deeper, but ultimately the structure remains and we have now lost a 20 on the 4-hour. From the perspective of value and the volume profile, nothing really has shifted too significantly. We have this notable shelf of value with a pocket, and then we're starting to put smaller aspects of value up at these higher levels. So while we are sitting patiently to see if this market is going to continue, and if it does pull back, to what degree it pulls back, I would say on the medium term perspective, things are looking relatively bullish. And from the perspective of the 30-minute, 10-day 30-minute leaving the volume profile, we see that that shelf of value sitting at about 406, which leads us into the middle of this 2 to 3 day consolidation. And what essentially that means is, as we're at the VA high, we're at some of the highest value levels from this perspective, which makes sense. Price has never gone above this this line. A pullback to value and therefore to VPOC could be in the cards. You know, that would be a target if you're looking to fade from high to low, and that would be just a pullback from the perspective of the daily or the 4-hour chart. So as we look across the board to see, is that also being reflected in other products? We start off with our Qs. We see that the Qs have hit this uptrend support turn resistance, this resistance point, where if we dig into the 4-hour, we see that the market has actually inflected from this level in the past, but we didn't really get a lot of downside. We got a couple of, I would say, pullback candles and after-hour and pre-market sessions, and then ultimately the Qs kind of consolidated for most of yesterday's after-hour and pre-market session and into the actual session itself. So Qs are holding in this area, so we're not seeing the pullback, we're not seeing any correction by price, but we are just seeing correction by time and whether or not this resolves to the upside or to the downside is yet to be seen. Looking at our 1 hour, just noting where value sits. Once again, 313.50. We always want to keep those larger numbers in mind if the market were to pull back heavily. We have some nice consolidation leading to value shelves being placed at these upper 335 levels. And then we have a notable shelf and basically a larger extension of the shelf of value around 332, and somewhere in this area where we consolidated in the past. Similar to the SPY, there are smaller pockets that sit in between these shelves. And in the perspective of the volume profile, if you're looking to buy the dip and essentially looking for where the pullback could stop, you want to target these shelves as opposed to these volume pockets or gaps in volume. And that's just a general thesis to keep in mind as we see markets correct. We want to look for where the most likely spot is to find support. And that's going to be validated by horizontal resistance and other technical analysis that we do. And then from the perspective of the 30-minute, noting, excuse me, noting that this rectangle represents a daily gap that we did fill, but I'm leaving it on because it does represent a low volume area and therefore another pocket. The VPOC sitting in the short time frame is about 331.25. So once again, as we potentially are hitting resistance and can look to pull back, one of the first spots we'd want to maybe consider is this VPOC area on the short time frame. And that can lead to an intraday sort of bounce play, or it could lead into an actual relative low and some more upside potentially into all-time highs if the Qs were to be strong in the next couple of sessions. So Qs are sitting elevated. They're sitting right next to all-time high. We're seeing this act as just a short-term area that's hesitating to break through, which is notable because we have had a huge rally off the lows. And what we're trying to determine now is, does the market need to pull back before it goes higher? Does the market want to consolidate and then go higher? Or is this a relative top and we will see continued downside from this point? All of those questions are pretty difficult to answer until we actually get some momentum in one of those thesis-based directions. So for our IWM, we noted how choppy this market is. It's not necessarily momentum driven at the moment, and it is forming the qualities of some sort of wedge or pennant-based structure. So we have our high, our double bottom low that retested the previous low. We found a little bit of upside into this, and then now we're getting very contracted from the range perspective. So when we look deeper at this market, and we're actually seeing some of that this morning as the SPY is putting a little bit of downside inside of the morning session, the IWM is actually starting to lose some of this very rough pennant-based structure. Now, from the daily perspective, that could be determined by the potential of a 20 and 50 moving average cross, typically a sign that momentum is starting to shift to the downside. And we've seen the IWM be an underperformer in general, given by the fact that it hasn't even gotten close to its all-time high amidst all this bullishness in other markets. And we've seen a lot of general selling in things like biotech, and even some weakness in certain industrials and smaller base financials. So the IWM, I think I'd want to stay a little bit either away from or at least more selective when it comes to certain long base setups, because ultimately this is not showing the same structure as the SPY and the Qs. It's not as clear to me which direction it wants to go. From the 30-day 1 hour, we're sitting basically at VPOC. And what I cautioned people to is when you're sitting at VPOC, one, it's hard to get away from VPOC because the market likes to be in balance for as long as possible to essentially transact shares back and forth at what is perceived to be the fair price. When you start to move away from that, you typically need some sort of catalyst. You need a reason to move away from balance into excess, and then excess back to balance. It's, you know, the cyclical nature of the market across different time frames. And with the IWM being at VPOC, we may be seeing the beginning of a move away from VPOC starting today as we start to lose potentially this structure. Ultimately, a back test and then a failure to go higher would be a nice confirmation. But with SPY and Qs at these highs, if we see any pullback in those markets and there's a correlation across the board, IWM would be a good candidate to maybe even just go from this point without a back test. So be looking here to see how much downside this could have. And from the 10-day 1 hour also sitting at VPOC, this gives me even more confidence to say that as we break through maybe the lower range, we could easily back test and start to crack through. We'll start to target some of these relative lows. And at that point, we'll see if the momentum really kicks into the downside. So some game plans for today as we have put together sort of our general basis of where we are. Certain things in the market do stand out to me. We have the VIX once again sitting pretty much at 52-week lows. I'll bring it up from the weekly perspective just to show the structure. We've gone ahead and filled this gap in the VIX. And what I'm looking at is, will a breakthrough of this gap low trigger some sort of upside spike in the VIX? Obviously, you know, VIX being somewhat correlated to fear or just expansion of volatility in general, which is typically done when you have a lot of selling in the market. Volatility is something I am looking at very closely, even considering putting on some sort of hedge-based position within the next day or two as the market continues to grind. The dollar, we've talked about how the dollar to the upside has led to some general weakness in certain things like metals, gold and silver most notably, and also equities like to see a weaker dollar to continue sort of the bullish thesis. The dollar is pulling back from the 93.50, which was sort of that momentum push that we had from some of our low points. We were actually threatening to break through the 200-day moving average on the dollar index, and that was something of concern. If that were to just continue sort of on a back test and follow through, you know, equity markets may not like that. Certain commodity markets may not like that. But as we have collapsed back down, now we're sitting in that, once again, that tight consolidation range, at which point, you know, continued downside, I think we start to still build our more bullish thesis in other markets, but a breakthrough of that could lead to, once again, more volatility and a little bit of fear across the board. Bonds, similar note. I'm going to use the TLT for this very general analysis. Bonds have been sitting down here for quite a while. They've done quite a bit of consolidation over the past couple of sessions. And what I'm seeing here is that they're starting to form the potential for some sort of trend reversal structure. Now, obviously, perspective is important. The bonds have collapsed across multiple weeks leading into this potential bounce. And we're sitting right at the weekly 200. So from the perspective of a weekly, this could be a buying opportunity for those individuals interested in buying bonds. A run-up in bonds would lead to a depression in the 10-year, 20-year, 30-year interest rates. And if those interest rates were to decline quickly, if we see momentum in bonds as opposed to just a steady upside, will the financials and some of the sectors that are sensitive to interest rates be affected in the same way? Financials really enjoyed the bullish push in the interest rates. We've seen all-time highs in financials recently, but will this basically come to an end with the bond market potentially having that trend shift? So, from here, we haven't really done much, but we're at the point where if they were to do a trend reversal structure, I would expect it to be done somewhere in this area. And that's, why I'm looking at this closely. I'm looking for any sort of signal or change in volume. As we have been pretty elevated in volume, you can see that volume has picked up quite a bit down here. So always keeping an eye on that, but so far nothing really of note outside of a couple of range compression days as we build this pennant structure. And then I'll just quickly note silver, coming off the 200. We've talked about that in the past. Gold in this range, we've actually breached but failed to have any follow through. So I'm going to see if this continues, and this would be facilitated on a weak dollar. So, the thesis for gold and silver still remains. This is a good general buying area in the past that led to a bullish run. Will this happen again? Or is it just more consolidation into more downside? Obviously, we'll look for the right signals to give us confirmation. Okay, so I'll breach through that pretty quickly to get through some of our sector analysis. As the markets are sitting at all-time highs, we need to look across the board and see which sectors are outperforming or just performing in general, and which sectors have been relative laggards in this bullish breakout that we've seen. So starting with some of our largest market cap, I'll go ahead and filter that. Stocks or sectors like technology, big technology, all-time high, very strong. Could be argued that the breakout in the SPY was led, pretty much exclusively by the breakout in big tech. So, check one for the bulls, big tech, very strong. Financials sitting right at all-time highs. We had a little bit of a downside move as we had some of the news and subsequent selling of some financial stocks after the Archegos incident. But that has since been bought, and we are sitting once again at all-time highs. We haven't breached it convincingly, but the range has been filled from low to high. So we do note that financials are sitting really strong, and this is notable leading up into earnings, which we'll get to pretty much at the end of this session. XLY, consumer discretionaries, sitting at all-time highs. We had a very drastic sell-off. Some would say some form of capitulation given the volume to the downside. Bouncing pretty close to the 200, very nice buying opportunity for certain stocks. And then now we're sitting at all-time highs. What's notable is that while consumer discretionaries is at all-time highs, some of the big players in this ETF, things like Amazon and Tesla, some of these are at all-time highs, HD being one of them and continues to be a relentless mover. McDonald's and I believe Nike is close to all-time highs. I'll have to double check that. But it's notable that Tesla is not. So if these stocks are not at all-time highs and this continues, there is potential for some of these larger cap names to continue running. And that's a similar thesis to the big tech names, which are also not all at all-time highs. Apple is kind of the clear example there. Healthcare, breaching through this upper range. Very bullish structure, sort of that inverse head and shoulders look and feel, where we tested this range. We broke through to back test a previous support area right here. And then we curled through to break through the top end of this range. We also filled an upside gap. So a lot of strength in financials, building the downside structure and the support to potentially lead to a breakout of all-time highs. We do have some notable news today. I'll just go ahead and mention it now with things like J&J. Obviously, the news related to their vaccine being halted and some concerns about the efficacy of some of it, along with the risk of it. So, communications, sitting at the bottom of the list. It doesn't do market cap correctly in Thinkorswim, but communications led by things like Facebook, Google, and then also hurt by some names like Viacom and Discovery Channel. Once again, sitting at all-time highs. So, you know, the thesis here is repetitious a bit. A lot of stuff is at all-time highs. It's very much correlated to the SPY being at all-time highs. And this is why noting this is important, because it shows just how strong this breakout is on the SPY. Yeah, and then I'll just quickly go through the rest. Consumer staples, pretty much at all-time highs. Very nice breakout and extension with a lot of good volume coming off the 200. Industrials, all-time highs. Really nice range breakout to double the range, back test of the range into, once again, another range breakout, all-time high breakout. And then some of our laggards, but they have been performing as of late. Utilities, not at all-time highs. In fact, not even at some of the COVID highs, but sitting at some potential inflection points in the past, and a really nice push off of some of the volatile lows we had in March. Let's see, materials, all-time highs. I believe that's correct, yes. And then to round out our list, energy, not at all-time highs, very notable. In fact, nowhere even close to all-time highs. We were at some very significant resistance, multiple back tests of this resistance, and this led into the crash. So pretty much expected that energy would have some trouble here to get through that level. And as we see this pullback, we have not really seen a push yet. So we're holding in this larger range, and we're seeing some consolidation in things like crude, which hasn't really broken out of the range, nor has it really given us a lot of momentum out of a pennant. Natural gas sitting at the 200, maybe a good buying opportunity, but haven't really seen much yet. And as we wait for energy to do something, you know, we're kind of just keeping an eye on this downtrend right here. You know, if we see that breakout and that change in momentum, it should be pretty obvious at a support level and through a breakout of this this downtrend. So energy not doing so well in the short term, and specifically to some of the discussion with IWM, biotech. This was one that I believe we facilitated a long in this area. We did get a decent range traversal. You know, just it only took it a few days to basically get back to previous resistance. And then we saw that selling come back in, and they pushed it all the way back down. What's notable here is that both technology and healthcare is strong, but biotech is not. So that is that inverse correlation showing itself, where in the past that would be a pretty clear bullish thesis to maybe consider biotech being added to, a trade setup or portfolio. Yesterday, we did lose the 200 on the daily. We closed below, so it's a notable loss of the 200. And if the selling continues, I'm looking at this third potential support area somewhere around 121 to 120. So, we're continuing to sell. This is just facilitating that weekly sharp correction that we're getting. And we're sitting right at the 50 on the weekly, another notable area of interest to consider. So we'll see if things change, if this is just a back test and it leads to, once again, more upside. But until we break this downtrend, the momentum continues to be bearish. So sector analysis done. We're seeing everything pretty much at all-time highs outside of energy and biotech. There is a lot of strength in this market, and that is leading up to what pretty much everyone is kind of on the edge of their seats for, earnings. So we'll obviously go into this more as each day progresses, but it is noteworthy to have the fact that financials are coming out with their earnings starting tomorrow. And we're going to see some big players like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Wells Fargo all in the morning session. As we enter this earnings cycle, I do expect volatility to rise as we get more and more information, hence why I'm looking at things like a VIX-based hedge. We also have financials with things like Goldman Sachs being affected by some of the issues with Archegos and other firms having to liquidate. I want to see in their earnings report, are we going to see some additional skeletons in the closet, things that they don't necessarily want the general public to know about, but ultimately will be sort of illustrated and highlighted in their earnings. So obviously, when you're sitting at all-time highs, you're starting to look in the opposite direction for when and where the pullback could occur. We've had some news this morning that is negative, could provide a little bit of fear in the market with the J&J vaccine. We have earnings coming up, so people are starting to prepare, hedge, put on positions for trades, et cetera, et cetera. All of that leading into potential volatility increasing, and we'll see if that is to the upside, because volatility typically is non-directional, or will it lead to a fear-based drop to the downside, or will we just get more and more consolidation and more grind? A fear-based drop, we'll see a lot of sectors selling at one time, most notably some of our biggest sectors. And this is going to be sectors like information technology, healthcare, discretionaries, financials, and communications. If we see a session where they're all at the lows at the same time, they're all selling around the same time, very big notable difference in what we've seen in the past 2 weeks. If we see a lot more rotation, some sectors strong, some sectors weak, SPY pretty flat, maybe Qs outperform, maybe IWM underperforms, et cetera, et cetera. If we continue to see that, to me, that is more and more bullish drift leading into potentially some volatility with earnings. So until that comes about, we will stay tuned and stay prepared for any scenario that the market throws our way. Last but not least, I don't want to necessarily bring up the charts, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. Everyone's talking about it. Bitcoin made a new all-time high. Some opportunity there with some of our equity market trading opportunities. We also had Ether make a new all-time high. That is also notable because it's showing a general strength in the crypto sector across the board. Some altcoins are all-time highs along with Bitcoin. Very bullish sentiment across multiple names. So when we see this, more opportunity in stocks like Riot and Mara, who are just generally bullish when the sentiment of the underlying asset is bullish. And that's great to see from the day trading perspective because it's good volatility. So with that said, my name's Jared. This has been Engineering the Markets. Stay tuned for Carlos and Norm. Going to dive deeper into some of these levels and some of these opportunities today. And we'll start to prepare ourselves for earnings, which is going to be another cycle of different types and styles of trading. So with that said, y'all have a happy Tuesday and trade safe.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market prep. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Good morning, Norm. How are you doing?
Morning, brother. I'm doing great. How are you?
All right. Excellent. Doing good. Doing good. Just getting a little feedback. Hold on a second. Okay. Perfect. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys can hear us okay. Just want to confirm the sound is good on both ends. I'm getting sort of distortion on my end, but hopefully you guys are good. All is good? Okay, excellent. All right, guys, let's take a look at our watch list from yesterday. Starting with, we had Baba on deck. Let's look at our 5 minute here. Let's jump right in here. Again, Baba was really, really clean yesterday. Hold on a second. My trade ideas is acting up. There we go. So Baba, very, very clean yesterday, guys. It's been trading very well. If we look at our 5 minute right over here, here's a pre-market action. We knew it was pretty active. It was looking very clean. Got better even later in the pre-markets. You can see how nice that was trading there. Then yesterday, you do get this first candle here. The first 5 minutes, a bit of an indecision candle, but look how clean it becomes right after that. It's just a beautiful price action here. It does take off above the VWAP nicely. Beautiful continuation. Does hesitate a little bit here. Just trying to regain its strength again. Hits the VWAP for a couple of times on there. Little consolidation between 10:30 and 11, and then the continuation back up to the high of the day at that time, sitting at 242.74, and then breaks out nicely. So again, just amazing strength out of Baba yesterday. They had a very, very strong positive catalyst of better than expected on their fines, right? So they were getting fined anyway, but it was a lot less than what they expected, and the market reacted very well to that yesterday. Here's Mara. Mara, again, it looks good now, guys, but I was watching this one. It's just the price action continues to be very weird. So it becomes difficult to trade. You do get a nice double top here. Nice rejection of 54.50. It tried to get there twice. It couldn't. Look at the beautiful rejection here. It just collapses down. So that was pretty nice there out of Mara. But again, the price action continues to be just not as clean. Here's Uber. Uber, as we mentioned, no, we talked about this plenty of times, how choppy it can be. And it was just that, just pure chop. I mean, just up and down, every candle overlapping the previous candle. The volume never really comes in. I mean, you get a little bit here, and it just dies down very early on, right? Usually the stocks are in place. You see the volume really high here, and then it slowly dies down. This one just completely flattens out very early on. So again, nothing to see there. PLTR, just an amazing drop. When I don't trade it, this thing trades just Beautiful. And the price action was clean. I was watching this one too. It's actually very, very clean. Beautiful drop here. I just didn't trust it. Beautiful drop. Nice continuation. And just never looked back, guys. Back towards the top there. Just amazing. Got very extended here. Then from here, just went sideways a little bit. But this was the move here early on. Just losing a lot of these levels that we had. Pre-market lows. Some lows that I created within the pre-market here. Bouncing twice of that 20, 24, 34. And just slamming down pretty nice there. Here's APHA. They were active, HPHA and TRY, but they were not clean. It seemed like it was just weird price action, so they didn't look all that great yesterday, at least for me. They did get an initial drop, maybe because they were so extended on the pre-market already. So again, you did get a little bit of an action here. I was looking for a reversal here, but again, the volume was just so low. I didn't trust it. So I'm glad I didn't take because that would have not worked out. You can see here the drop coming back down towards the low. So here's Apple. Apple's a little choppy at the beginning, first hour or so, but then it does get a little bit better. You do get some pullouts here, a little nice little drop there, another drop here after consolidation, trying to hold this previous day close line at that time was different. It was just a level 131.22, and then it's able to rebound nicely here. So there, later part of the day, it does trade a lot cleaner. You can see that there, not with great volume, but you still got some pretty good moves out of Apple later in the day. So again, that's what we had, guys. Not the greatest trading day ever, but there were some opportunities if you were watching some of these stocks that were moving decent yesterday. Norm, let's take a look at our... Oh, I think we have to stay on this screen. Something's wrong with my controller. I think we'll have to stay on this one, Norm, for the market pulse. So
That's all right, buddy.
Yep.
So, I mean, SPY's relatively flat. Qs are as well. They've been down this morning. Big news, Johnson & Johnson vaccine recommended to be pulled for the moment. It doesn't sound like it's going to be too long. They'll probably investigate this and figure out. I guess it's caused blood clots in 6 people out of 7 million doses administered. So, I mean, it's there, but it's a very small number. So, on that news, we are seeing stay-at-home plays pop a little bit. We're seeing the travel sector, which has been on fire recently, pull back a little bit. Airlines, cruise lines, and such. So that was big news. We just had the biggest economic data of the week really drop, which was CPI. People are concerned about inflation. Came in a little bit worse than expected, but nothing too crazy. Markets popped on that over the last since we came on, last 8 minutes. So that's really the key news for the day. And Bitcoin, the other undercurrent we have going on is Bitcoin up over 5% this morning, sitting around 63,000, which is popping a lot of these Bitcoin names. You'll Riot, Mara, Can, all those, and on and on and on. So can't hear you.
BBT, I think, is also Bitcoin. Also doesn't trade very well. I think it is. I'm not 100% sure.
BT.
Yeah. Is that Bitcoin? Okay. All right, guys, let's get to it. Let's remove our watch list from yesterday. Let's build our list for this morning. So we'll get rid of that. We'll make some room over here.
I can only name so many of them.
Yeah, I know, right? There's definitely a lot on both sides of the fence here this morning, guys. Let's start with what's gapping up today. NVCR, they are up 70% with some really scary price action here. 986,000 shares traded. So definitely something going on there. What is the float on this? 87 million shares flow. So it's not a low flow stock, but it's definitely moving like one, guys. This thing went from 131 up to 270, 265, and now dropping down here. So again, I would treat this with some definitely handle with care gloves. I don't think it's going to be a good one for today. It normally doesn't get great volume. Today already trading what it usually does, even more than what it does on regular days. Just be careful with this one. The spread right now, not bad for 219, so about 20 cents or so. Just the price action is not looking all that great. Here, it's starting to get better now as more volume is starting to come in. We're going to put it here as a possible. It's got to get a lot better, though, for us to trade this one. NVCR, we'll put it on there. 1 million so far and definitely moving nicely this morning. Heading down, we do have NC. This one is up 50%, 1.4 million shares traded. Horrible daily here. So again, has not a lot going on for it. Pre-market action is okay. We'll put it on here. Low flow stock, 8 million. Hold on a second. Let's put it here towards the bottom. It's an 8 million shares flow. So it is a lower flow stock. We'll put it on here for now. We'll see what we can get out of that. Heading down, we have TIRX, also another low flow stock, 3.9. This one's took a huge drop yesterday. Wow. Going from 90, hanging out at 20 bucks now. That is massive there. Also, it looks like recent IPO. Yeah, recent IPO just starting back in January, looks like. So again, not sure what went wrong there, but that does not look like fun.
Yeah, I got really limited information on this. All I know is it's something in insurance out of China. It's a recent IPO. That chart is scary as hell.
Look what happened yesterday here. So
I know,
nothing,
about.
and just look at this. I mean, halted, and you're down 20. What's this? $80. This thing was trading at almost 100 bucks.
90%.
Wow.
And it's gone.
Yeah, it's just insane. So this does not look like fun to me at all. Pre-market action right now does look very active, 1.2. I just don't know what to think about this one, but I am going to put it on here to check out how the action is going to be today, but I probably will not be touching that. All right, here's some of the Bitcoin plays. CAN this morning, they have 1.9. That's good volume. Definitely want to see that. And I traded this one before in the past. It has been good to us, so we'll keep it on there. Riot is a hit or miss. I sometimes prefer more Mara, although Mara, again, we talked about this before, how bad it can be. BTBT doesn't look good. We'll skip on that one. Riot, just to look at it again, 861, up 9%. We'll put it as a possible for now. Obviously, this stuff is what's hot right now. BTBT is no good. WIMI, this one we've seen on our list before. It is up 8% this morning with some decent volume. Pre-market starting to come alive a little bit here. We'll come and take a second look at that. WIMI. Here's Mara. So again, Mara just puts in this beautiful daily charts and candles and intraday action. Let's see. We're hitting some all-time highs on Bitcoin, or at least getting up there, right? Breaking some records. Hopefully today that can be the difference maker. 998,000 shares traded. They're up 8% as well. Definitely in play this morning. Here's NVAX. So they are popping up 7%. Now this stock is a little bit more difficult to trade. It doesn't trade as clean. Any news on them this morning, Norm? Let's pop in them. They usually don't move unless they have NVAX.
VAX plays are, obviously with the J&J stuff, they're getting pop on that, and they're working on their vaccine as well. So it's a combination of those.
All right, so they're getting a little bit of a pop here with somebody else, some opportunities for them if the J&J stuff goes to the toilet here. NVAX, that's good for now. Our mRNA, so they're up as well. Again, very difficult to trade. They're up 6.8. Another vaccine play. We'll put it here, mRNA. We'll put that one on there. We'll see what comes out of that. And I'm going to stop here, guys. Let's stop here on the gapping up. Let's see what's gapping down. A couple of low flow stocks here. Not low flow, but close, 28 and 23. ATXI, horrible price action right now in the pre-market, horrible daily. This is something when we talk about a bad daily chart. Look at this, guys. This is just insane, and the pre-market action is bad too. So we'll skip on it. LH, hold on a second, guys.
I feel like I should dance or something for an intermission. I don't know what happened. No, there's no music in the pre-market show. We keep this as professional as possible. Tell us about your childhood.
All right, sorry about that. We are back. Okay, where I left off. LH, I have another computer and the YouTube thing came on there. LHDX. All right, this one, guys, not looking good. I do not like this one at the moment.
Can had earnings yet. Somebody was asking why Can dropped. It had earnings yesterday.
CAN?
Yesterday, yeah. But I mean, that's in. That's why it had that big drop yesterday.
Oh, yes. Yeah, correct. But they're bouncing back now. So again, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. ALHDX, no good, guys. Pre-market action is not looking great. We'll skip on that one. PSAC, what's going on with this one? We had this one on our list yesterday because it gapped down big. I didn't watch it, guys. Let's take a quick look on how it actually traded. Yeah, it's not good. This action, you could tell here, it's just crappy. There's not a whole lot of volume, so I don't have a lot of hopes for it today neither. I'm gonna skip on this one. APHA, this one dropped yesterday as well. This one was also earnings, right? But it didn't trade that well. Today dropping again though, another 4%. Might be worth taking a look at this one. Let's put that on there. APHA. Let's see down. TRY also
downgrade this morning.
They did. TLY.
They had earnings yesterday morning, but they got a downgrade on that, so they're getting
hammered
smoked,
again.
Carlos. No, they're getting smoked.
They're getting killed,
Bud
guys.
gets hammered after he's getting smoked.
Absolutely. So we'll see. Again, they didn't trade as I thought they would yesterday. I'm going to put them both on here because I think both are looking pretty good right now. They got some okay volume. TLRY looks a little bit better. They got a little more volume there. So we'll see how that plays out. Fuel cell, man, these guys are getting killed. This battery vehicle, short of a microchip area, this is just getting destroyed. Fuel cell is on here. They're down 3.7. I mean, these guys were just crushing it. Now they're just back down here to 10. So down 3.7. Plug is also in that field. They're down 2.7. What else we have in here? There's some other ones too. CHPTS, another one. This one is down quite a bit here also. I'm gonna watch probably Plug. I think fuel cell could be interesting. Let's put fuel cell on here because I know it's a lot of talks about that. And then from Plug, yeah, I might watch Plug as well. Let's look at Plug. I'm look at these two for now in that EV type plays. We got some airlines here and some cruise lines. We got NCLH looking pretty good this morning, down 3%. Very active pre-market action. So I do like that as well. NCLH. We'll throw that there. American Airlines. What do we have here? This one is active 1.3. Now, this is the type of volume we like to see, right? 1.3 on American Airlines dropping a little bit now. That is pretty good. I want to see that there. Any reason why these is it because of the vaccine? It can't be because of the vaccine. Yeah. 7 people. This is costing all of this.
6. Yeah,
no,
6. You're giving it too much credit. No, I mean they're pulling a lot of doses out of circulation here. So that's the concern: is that people, you're going to freak people out. They're not going to get vaccinated. I mean, I'm not taking a position on whether you should be freaked out or not. But I mean, they're worried that less people get the vaccine, then there's less doses. I don't think from what I've heard and read, I don't think it's really that substantial of an event. It's just a minor road bump. So,
gotcha.
But I mean, they've run a lot too.
Yeah, no,
so
they've
all run on the rollout of the vaccine, and 3 million plus people getting vaccinated on a daily basis recently, and such, and so it's not uncommon for them to get pull back on that.
So we got a lot going on here, guys. I do like NCLAs. Just look at CCL because they also can move very well. CCL this morning, they are down 2.4. Great volume too. So either one of those can be great. I'm going to put CCL here on the list as well. All right, we have a lot on here. What else we have? J&J obviously in play, guys. They're down based on the news that came out. It's just they're difficult to trade, so I'm not even going to add them. Maybe if possible. Let's just kind of keep a pulse on what's happening there. But they tend to be a little bit on the more difficult side to trade. All right, guys, let's get started today. Let's see what we have. Norm, do you like anything specific that we haven't gone through yet?
No, not yet, buddy. I'm still filtering through here.
All right, excellent. Let's take a look here. Let's start with our chat. So the QQQs at all-time highs. Maybe they could get there. They've been very strong. Let's start with NVIDIA. NVIDIA this morning, wow, look at the day they had yesterday. And they're up another almost 1% here this morning. But just a nice breakout at 1 o'clock. Look at this. I did not see this yesterday. So some news, maybe some positive stuff breaking out for NVIDIA. Are they getting computer chips or something? Something's happening. But they're doing pretty good, guys. They're sitting, they're at all-time highs now. It looks like they are slamming up against it. Yeah. Looks like they're slamming up against it here. So looking pretty good right now, guys. They're definitely in play. I think we need to add NVIDIA in here.
They gave some guidance on their first quarter numbers, but and they got an upgrade this morning. So all good stuff for NVIDIA.
Yeah, they're looking really good this morning, guys. All right, heading on down, what else do we have? We have NVIDIA there. Oops, lost my spot. Scroll up here. All right, NVIDIA, Apple, and Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla. First, all right, Tesla this morning. Yeah, they're up 1.1 today. I like their daily, though. Their daily just kind of, remember what Apple did? Apple did almost something slightly similar. You know, they were not great, and then they slammed up against their area of resistance. And then once they broke out of that, they really took off. Tesla has that similar type of play this morning. Not saying what happened today, but we tested this so many times. Look at this here, 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 and here. And what you're seeing is every time we come up here, there's a lesser of a pullback, right? It's lesser of a pullback. We come back here again, less of a pullback. We're here again, right? So eventually, again, it's just my thinking that we might be in for a nice breakout here on Tesla again. So might not be today, but it is looking interesting, worth taking a second look at later. Today, NVIDIA is good. Apple, I think Apple is always good. It's been great the last couple of days to get rid of some of these levels right now. Going green, they were red for a little bit, up almost 0.5%. Volume starting to come in nicely though, 930 already and moving well. Man, we have a lot today that looks decent. I like Apple though. I'm gonna make room for them. RIGL, what do we have here? This one, no, compared to everything else I have, I don't see a spot for this one today. So I'm gonna skip on this one. TLRY, and the reason is it just looks too choppy right now. TLRY I do also have did I add? Yeah, TLRY. I also have APHA. Both of those are on there. We'll probably watch one because there's other stuff we want to make room for. Heading on down, PFE. What do we have here? PFE this morning, they're up 1%. Again, they're up on obviously J&J not doing well and being held right now. So as Norm mentioned, there's opportunity for these guys to make more and take some of those slices depending on how things turn out, right? Hopefully they'll figure it out and we can move forward with the vaccines here. But yeah, they're up almost 1%. My issue with them is the way they trade. They are very, very, very choppy. So I'm not going to watch. I think there's other stocks in here that I would prefer to watch on my list. So if you like this one, you can definitely put it on your list as well. NVIDIA is good. NEO, let's take a look here. Again, NEO also just kind of winding down here to a point as well. Pre-market action looking decent. Volume is a little bit lighter than what we're used to seeing. This will be a good one for later in the afternoon. David from Connecticut, I do like what's happening there. It has been holding that very well. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on this one. You know what? Let's make room. Let's make room because NEO could be so explosive and trade so well. We'll make room. I know we have a ton. I'm gonna have to stop here, guys. Let's take over quickly on YouTube. Anything else that we might have missed? PLTR, NEO we have on deck. Yeah, PLTR was great yesterday, guys. I mean, this thing was so nice. Can we get rid of some stuff? Let's get rid of some stuff. Let's see. mRNA, Riot. Let's get rid of Riot. Let's add, I would prefer to have PLTR here. Yeah, I think that's good. NVCR, guys, NVCR, this one here, I just don't see how I'm going to trade this. And I know it looks interesting. It looks exciting, up 66%. We're moving here. I seen stocks like this before where they do nothing and they're high price like this and they're moving. They're up 66%. And for me, they are just horrible to read the price action. So based on that information on my personal trading, I'm just going to remove it. If you like it, put it on your list. But I'm just going to go with what works, right? I'm not going to be messing around with that stuff. Tesla, we have SQ. Let's take a look there. SQ right now, pre-market action, it's okay, not great. Their daily looks amazing, guys. Just continue to slam it on the gas here, heading higher. I got some levels they can test up here. But right now, pre-market seems a little bit quiet, which again, it is not. It's not anything that's crazy for SQ. We've seen them do that before in the past. Where they have a quiet pre-market and can really trade very well. Spotify, I believe, they just don't trade very well, guys. Very, very hard to trade. Even when they were at a lower price, not because they're 1,200, even when they were sitting at 800, 900, 700, they're just very difficult. They don't get a lot of volume, and their intraday action is pretty bad. This is not good. Car R is just not doing anything, guys. No volume. And even if they did have volume, just look at this daily, right? We talk about bad dailies. This is the definition of a really, really bad daily chart right here, guys. So that's not good. All right, cool, guys.
Let's go to announcements, bro.
Yeah, let's go because we're going to have to do a lot of chopping up here this morning. So let's do that. Over to announcements. We'll be back in a second.
All right, guys. Tuesday, Thor's much anticipated webinar. Tonight, 8 p.m., he'll be doing part 3 of his Pivots series. So check that out. If you can't make it live, it will be recorded. We'll get it up tomorrow. Next week, Peter and possibly a guest appearance on that by Andrew as well. They're going to be talking about focusing on a single stock, how that works. There are people that only trade one ticker. I've done it for a period of time. And there are pros and cons to it. So they're going to break that down next week, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, tomorrow night, 8 p.m., Mike's going to be talking about reestablishing a positive mindset after a losing streak. Something we touched on with Dr. Katz yesterday morning as well, and very important to discuss. And then next week is how true are your stories about yourself, reevaluating yourself, being true to yourself from our mindfulness coach, Nada. All right, if you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trades with the entries and exits, of course, and then put any commentary you can to describe the trade. Post it on Twitter, tag @BearbullTraders, @MikeB_BBT, and @NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT family. Day trading and stock market. We'll announce it every day on Twitter, and then the team will vote on the weekend and pick the trade of the week from those that won each day. That'll be announced on Monday. If you are watching on YouTube, haven't been in the chat, you'd like to give it a try, use the promo code PREMARKET24. That'll give you access to our onboarding class every Monday night and our tech class following the onboarding class Monday night. It also, of course, is 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the chat room, doesn't auto-renew or turn into any other kind of discount. And then we still have our spring promotion going on, 40% off an elite annual membership. Use the promo code SPRING40 to take advantage of that.
All right, excellent, guys. Let's get to it. All right, we got a pretty decent sized list. Let's chop this up first before we go through it. So let's look at our possibles. I do like NEO, guys. I like their daily here as well, where they're sitting at. I think some people might find some value here and get a little squeeze going. So that'll be nice. Tesla is moving very well too. That's very active. J&J, I know they got the vaccine news going on. It's just for me personally, they don't move very well. We know they could be a possible.
I agree. They don't trade very well generally.
They don't. You know what? We need the space. Let's get rid of it for now. CCL 1.5. I think that's decent. NCLH. Let's pick one of the two. I'm not gonna watch both of them. What looks better here? NCLH. You know what? We'll stay with CCL. They have higher volume here, so that could be a little bit better. So we'll keep that one. TLRY between APHA. What looks better here? The daily on the APHA is okay. They're both very similar. We'll just, you know what? We'll go with the one with the most volume. That's TLRY. We'll get rid of APHA. So NVAX, again, guys, I'm gonna get rid of it. I just don't know how we trade this. So let's get rid of that one. They don't usually trade very well. mRNA is good. PLTR had a great day yesterday, hoping for another one today. Very clean. Their pre-market action, always very clean. This is a clean pre-market action, guys. 782 solid numbers on the shares traded and good movement in here. It's just when that bell rings, it just does something completely different as far as how choppy it can be. Bitcoin is in play. We have several on here. We're not going to watch them all. I like CAN. I have Mara as well. Mara, we're going to move down just because how weird their price action could be. Again, just they don't have no flow to it, I guess. WIMI, this one is okay. I'm not liking the pre-market action as much. We'll bring it down to a possible for now. Fuel cell, this one again, all these battery EV type plays are taking been taking a bit of a hit, right? So let's see, fuel cell right now 667. Pre-market action is okay. I like plug better. I think I'm going to move fuel cell down and keep plug. So let's do that. Fuel cell comes down. We'll keep plug instead. And then we have American Airlines as our airliner for today. We have NVIDIA looking really good this morning. We have Apple as well, also popping up nicely there today. Let's take a look. We got a room for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe 1 or 2 more. Let's see here. Which one looks good? I think NEO. For some reason, I like NEO today. mRNA, yeah, I like NEO today. I'm going to put NEO on my main list today. I think they're looking very interesting. Their volume is a little bit lighter than usual, but I do like this daily. I do like this pre-market action today. I think they can be very, very interesting if they decide to hold this 37 here, as David from Connecticut was talking about as well. So I'm in agreement with you there. All right, let's do levels here. We have a CAN high of the pre-market this morning, 1507. I want a level there. Above that, we do have the highs and lows from the last 2 trading days after a massive drop yesterday. As you see here, a little bit of a bounce this morning. Within between the low from yesterday and the high of the pre-market, in this gap here, trying to see if we find something. I don't see maybe this right here off the daily. We got a couple of touches around 1678. Right over here, there was the high of this day, the low of this one, the opening of this one, and the low of this day. So a couple of touches on there on that 1678. We'll definitely keep that level on there. Towards the bottom, you have the low of the pre-market pretty much next to the previous day close, right? So that's where the action is going to be at. And then below that, if we were to lose that previous day close, we have the low from yesterday hanging out around, looks like 1201 on the dot. And then below that, we got a nice level right over here at a 1051, right? And the reason I'm picking 1051 opposed to this one here, you can do this one too, 1069. I'm sorry, 985, but I like 1051 because here, guys, a little bit higher, you have two days doing their opening and closing right around that area. So I do like the touches that you're getting there opposed to just one wick over here. So I'm going to go with that one instead. Here is plug, guys. So plug towards the top, plenty of levels, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. You do not need to add any more to that. We're going to mark down the low of the pre-market, tested several times this morning over at 27.99 here very early on. And once again, a couple of minutes ago, we're getting a nice little bounce now off of that in the pre-market. If we were to dip below this level, we're going back now to November, December timeframe. And on the daily here, you can see this area being a great area of resistance where our highs and our price action is now before we had this nice breakout. Towards the bottom of that, we do have a couple of touches right on here, guys. 2580, nice area of resistance and support. And then below that, we got a nice little area here, 2238. I don't think we'll get there without a very nice fight if that's what we're going to do. Head towards the bottom today. Here's American Airlines. Wow, continues to drop here, guys. More volume coming in towards the downside. This thing's taking a bit of a nice hit this morning. As far as levels, we have 2103, great area of support right on there. And this also, I know this daily doesn't look very clean on the bars here, but you can see the support happening right around that 2103. So you want to have that on there. Massive rejection of support here at 1898. Below that, you do have another one that's probably more reasonable, 2045, right? You got a lot of touches on here as well. So low of the pre-market right now sitting at a 2196. Let's see how that is going to act, if we're going to be able to hold that. That has been an area of good resistance in the past right on here before we had this nice break going to the next level of consolidation. So again, American Airlines looking very active this morning, 1.7 already. Here is NVIDIA. So NVIDIA looking good, guys, very active. High of the pre-market, 613.25. So we'll throw a level there. Above that, we have the highs from yesterday. So let's see if we can, go and retest those highs. This has been a great area of resistance for NVIDIA. We saw this back in February, right on there as well. And I believe that is your all-time high as well for NVIDIA. So looking pretty good this morning. Towards the downside, we do have our low of the pre-market at 604.75. And then below that, you're going to have to base it on some of the stuff happening here. I do like this level over at 597.41. You have a couple of days opening, closing, and bouncing off of this, right? So mainly for support. So you definitely want to have that there, the 597.41. You can go into yesterday's trading action and see if you have any consolidation in there as well. But I'm going to go with this 597.41. Here's Apple. I like what Apple's doing on the daily, guys. Again, we had a huge run up here over the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks or so, and now we're just kind of consolidating. We had a red day yesterday after a beautiful green day. Let's see if this thing is going to push up higher against these highs over here from the last 2 trading days. So that's the thing we'll be looking for in Apple this morning. They've been very, very strong. I have the pre-market 130, 198. I'm not sure it's going to hold for long the way we're pushing up here. And then towards the bottom, highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. The price action right now is really stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. So we'll see where this breaks out one way or the other. But if I have to bet, I have my money on it being a strong stock for today. Here is NEO, guys. NEO, again, I like the pre-market action on NEO. I like the daily more than anything, which has kind of been winding into this point right over here. Let's see if we can break out one way or another with some good trading action. Right now, your price action is stuck between the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. So even your highs and lows are covered. They're really on some of the levels between yesterday and the day before. So that's pretty good. Now, if we break out of this consolidation we've been having here, the next level above that should be 39.13, and then towards the bottom is a little more tricky because here you don't have much. I mean, this here is a very clean level, obviously 35.16, and then you have this other one here at 34. But within here, you don't have anything much off the daily. You got a couple of days opening and closing, but there's not a whole lot to go by there. To get a better sense, you have to go into the intraday here and see if there's anything good. But what we could do is, we know how important these whole dollar numbers are at times 36. We'll throw a level there just to have something midpoint. But if you want something better, you go in here and see where there's some consolidation happening. All right, that is our watch list for today, guys. Let's take a look at what our moderators have this morning. So I'm going to bring in their watch list today. All right, we got a couple of in there already. Let's see what looks good for today. So, all right, let's bring this in. And here we are. So Thor, he's watching CCL, NCLH, PFE, and mRNA. In the tech sector, he's watching a couple of pre-market futures are down, so he's looking for a possible squeeze there. He has looking at NEO and also CAN as backups. Dima, she is looking at Riot, Mara, Apple, and WIMI. Jared this morning likes Plug. Yeah, I like Plug a lot too as well. It's looking very good, guys. PFE, J&J, Mara, Riot, CAN, and that's his primary list. Secondary list, Tesla and BABA for a possible continuation. Both of those stocks looking really, really strong. No IPOs in advance of the big one, so nothing going on today. Wednesday, we do have a coin. Now, this is the one everybody's been waiting for, guys. I know a lot of people are excited about this one, so we'll see how that's going to turn out. It's going to be tomorrow. We're looking forward to that. Here's Thursday. We have 2 Bitcoins app and also 1 billion app, and then on 1 billion AGL. So those are opening up, and then we also have TSP there. So these are the big ones, right, Peter? That's what we're saying. The big IPOs are coming up this week. All right, Mike is looking at J&J, mRNA, and BNTX this morning. Tiffany likes Mara, CAN, mRNA, secondary list, Tesla, NVIDIA, and Plug. Yes, too many. There is a lot to watch today. We had to really cut out some of the stuff that we would normally probably keep. So again, there's definitely a lot going on. What we did here is, for example, if we had two travel companies, we took one off. We had NCLH, we also had CCL. We kept CCL, which is on a secondary, which probably should be on the main list. Yeah, so definitely a lot to watch today. But you know what? I'm gonna move CCL because I want to keep a close eye on it. I'm going to move it here because that has some good volume this morning. I do like the daily for a nice play here. So I'm going to move that up there just to keep a close eye on it. We also have TRY, which is very active. That's not on our main list. Again, there's a lot. PLTR, great day. Yes, that's another one too that you could keep an eye on. So there is definitely a lot to watch today. Here is Peter with his list. He is looking at a PFE, Apple, and AMD. Secondary list, mRNA, TLRY, and Plug this morning. Levels for CCL. Yes, we could do that. Let's do levels for CCL. Here we go. So towards the top, you're pretty much covered, guys, right? Highs and lows from the last 2 trading days. Everything is set over here. Their daily has not been all that great. Low of the pre-market, we're looking at 26.68. We'll throw one there. You can see how much support you had here, especially between that February and March time frame. Then below that, it gets a little tricky here. Let's see. I think here is a good one, 25.65. More support happening here around that area. I know this daily is not great. And then obviously you got to mark this one down. 23.81 is a great level of support there. Nice rejection happening there after gap down, found support, and look at the pop there. So that's what we have for CCL right now, 1.8. So you got some good volume. That's the volume I like to see on CCL. We are down 1.7, getting a little bit of a bounce this morning. We'll see how that is going to play out. All right, good, guys. I think we have a very exciting day today. Things are looking very good. You know what? NVCR, someone's asking me, Richard's asking me what happened to NVCR. I don't know what happened to it. I'm not sure what the catalyst behind it, but I've seen these type of stocks before. And you know, the longer you trade, you start building this intuition type thing, right? It's hard to explain, but you just seen this before, and they don't tend to trade very well. And managing the risk could be very difficult. Their spread right now is $1, right? You saw it earlier. Earlier we spoke about it was about 20 cents, right? Now it just jumped to $1. So stocks like this, we've seen them before. You know, they could be brutal. I have lost money, a lot of money on stocks that trade this way because you get caught up with the numbers. Hey, it's up 58%. It can go from here to here, but you take a hit on this, and it's gonna ding you pretty bad. So this is the reason why I'm not watching it. It's just, again, and especially today, like if we had nothing else to watch and it was like this one and 3 other ones, okay, great, we'll look at it and we'll be very, 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 very careful. But when you have things like CAN moving well, you have Plug with a beautiful intraday action. I'm sorry, pre-market action today, some good volume. They've been getting slammed, so hopefully they're getting some relief now. You have American Airlines with 1.8 million shares traded, and we know when American Airlines is above that 1 million in the pre-market, you might be in for a really, really good day. How about the other airlines? United, they're moving well. United, not as much. They're down, but not as much. So again, it makes the decision for you, right? You can't watch 20, 30, 40 stocks. You know, the decision is made for you that this is probably one you shouldn't watch. Now, on the opposite end, trading is so wild that whatever works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. That you might be a great trader of those type of stocks, and that is perfectly okay. It's a great thing about trading the market. There's no right way to do it. It's a wrong way to do it, but there's no right way to trade. So there's so many different ways. It's not one way to do it. So if this is your style on NVCR, by all means, you know, put it on your list and go for it. So, all right, guys, that is what we have. 9:12. Just waiting to see if any other moderators have their watch list set, but I think we're pretty good right now. Yeah, I think we're set, guys. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you for those that joined the onboarding class last night and the tech class with Kyle. We had a lot of fun yesterday, so that was pretty good. If you missed it, you can always sign up. We do it every single week, so we're doing it again next Monday. So see you guys there. For those on YouTube that want to try out our chat room. So trade safe, guys. We will see you tomorrow at 8:30. 8 a.m. for the engineering the markets. And remember, tonight is a success webinar at 8 p.m. in our success webinar room. So don't miss that, guys. Make sure you attend. Let's support the speaker and also learn something, right? So see you guys tonight. Take care, everyone. Trade safe.